Hello everyone, you're welcome to this first edition of the program, The Inside on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. This is of course the first edition for 2018. I am Babla Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we'll be discussing the address to the nation of the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, December 31st, 2017, and we'll be particularly looking at the Anglophone crisis, the aspect of the Anglophone crisis in his end-of-year address to the nation. We'll equally be looking at some major issues that happened in 2017 in the Republic of Cameroon, notably those connected to the Anglophone crisis. And in the edition of the program, we'll equally be bringing to you interviews of the week. We'll be right back in a moment. You're welcome back. Our guest in this edition of the program is a senior legal mind and political observer, Barrister FRU. So, Barrister, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Barrister. Same to you. You listened to the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, address the nation on the 31st of December 2017. What are some of the issues that caught your attention in a special way in that address of the President of the Republic?
Yes, thank you very much. I was particularly listening to the Anglophone crisis, the crisis of the Northwest and Southwest, and I was expecting that he will tone down his speech, but that speech is not different from the speech of 2016. So I came away with the impression that okay, this thing will be decided on the battlefront.
All right. President Paul Biya, in his end-of-year address, announced that military measures were going to be continuously implemented in order to turn down the socio-political and security unrest in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. What's your take on that?
Yes. You remember he added without excesses, which means that up to and including the 31st of December, is a tacit recognition that there were blatant violations of human rights during the execution of that war that he declared on the Northwest and Southwest when he came back from Ivory Coast. So I don't know what it means by without excesses, but I read it to mean that he will curb, probably while he's executing the war, he will curb the excesses of violations of human rights, I suppose. But a war is a war. You can't control what happens on the battlefront. So I was really taken aback by his pronouncements about a war against what he calls part of his country. Because if it's part of his country, why declare war against part of the country?
And some critics have condemned what they call the application of military solution to a political problem.
Yes, this is a thing that started as a political problem. He decided to make it he decided to solve the problem by war. And I was expecting that he will calm down and begin a political solution to this crisis. But true to himself, he has indicated to the world that the war will continue. And make no mistake, that war will continue. And the only regret I have is that we're losing youths from both sides. But that doesn't mean that any side has an advantage. We don't know yet. But the war is on.
Now, the war, or in other words, the implementation of military solution on the ground in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, isn't it a response to the new twist of the socio-political unrest in the two Anglophone regions of the country, notably concerning attacks on security forces, security and defense forces in the northwest and southwest regions of the country?
Self-defense is a fundamental right. Self-defense is a fundamental right. And if you take yourself back to the 22nd of February, of September, and the 1st of October, a lot of our people were massacred. Young people massacred. They were killed. There was no response. So when he declared the war, the young people decided that they have no choice but to fight, but to protect themselves. And you cannot blame a man for defending himself. Self-defense is a fundamental human right. Therefore, killing 6 gendarmes or police or whatever you call it, as opposed to the number of people that were massacred on the 1st of October and 22nd of February, of September, it's like day and night. Because, I mean, so 6 gendarmes are more valuable than hundreds of young people that were killed on the 1st of October. I find that really, really shocking for a head of state. If he had to declare a war because of 6 gendarmes, but he had the audacity to command his troops to shoot on unarmed people and kill them. Many young people lost their lives on the 1st of October. He never bothered to say or give messages of condolences to their families. There are still young people who are in the hospitals even up to now. There are still people who are maimed for their life. There are young men on wheelchairs. And because of 6 gendarmes, you declare war? Okay, the war is on.
No, but attacks on defense and security forces, killing gendarmes, military and police officers, is it not grievous enough to provoke such a military response to the problem at hand? Some have described it as an attack on the nation.
I will not categorize it like you are doing. It was not an attack on security forces. The security forces were attacking them. It was a war situation. And if in a war situation, one party kills another, what are you going to say? These young people were on their own. The forces transported themselves from Yaoundé or from wherever and went to confront them in their own backyard. And it so happened that 6 gendarmes fell. Is that a reason enough? More than the killing of the 1st of October, is that a reason enough to declare war on a part of a country? If that is a reason, and he has confirmed that is war on the 31st of December 2017, means that the solution to the Anglophone problem, according to Mr. Beer, will be solved on the battlefront.
So what are you saying? Are you calling for the continuous or the demilitarization?
I am not calling for anything. I am merely interpreting what he said. He talked about dialogue within the legal and constitutional framework of Cameroon.
Yes, actually.
That to me is a denial of any form of dialogue, because the dialogue that will solve this problem will not be done in Cameroon, because everywhere in Cameroon, Anglophones, including me sitting here, are susceptible to all kinds of arrest and torture.
Yes, and
therefore, if there's going to be any dialogue, 2 things must happen. 1, a law on amnesty should be passed by Parliament against all the Anglophones who have been involved in this crisis, so that our people can come out of prison and those who are outside come in. If that dialogue is going to take place in Cameroon. If it's not going to take place in Cameroon, okay, we'll meet on neutral ground before a neutral third party, and we'll solve this problem. Until then, according to him, the war continues. He is the one who says the war is going to continue. everybody, including Anglophones of the Northwest and Southwest province, were waiting for some kind of appeasement, some kind of a roadmap for peace. But if he says the war continues for those who have taken arms, I don't know who is calling those who have taken arms. Those who have taken arms are the Cameroon army that took arms against the defenseless people.
Yes, besides the war that you're talking about, earlier on you were talking about dialogue, and he simply said that dialogue is the way out of the crisis, but he didn't mention what type of dialogue. We know that the Commonwealth Secretary General, for example, Patricia Scotland, called for intensive and inclusive dialogue, but he didn't talk about the type of dialogue and those to dialogue which we know that the consortium of the civil society organizations of the Anglophone part of Cameroon had already been dissolved.
Listen, when the Secretary General talks about inclusive dialogue without precondition, Mr. Abia is already putting a precondition. If you read what the Secretary General of the Commonwealth said, inclusive dialogue without precondition, and the dialogue that Mr. Abia is talking is way out of line because it doesn't meet the basic conditions of what the Secretary General was talking about. And the question that most people, dishonest people, keep asking is, you dialogue with whom? This thing has gone to the extent that they are those people you call secessionists. They are the people who the people of the Northwest and Southwest listen to. This government has lost legitimacy in the Northwest and Southwest. I'm talking as a politician. But they listen to an interim government. What they call an interim government. That was after the launching of 1st October. After that, they formed what they call the interim government. What I expect is that this government should meet with those people. Those are the people who represent the interests of the Northwest and Southwest. From my observation, people at the consortium has been banned. There's no other. Anybody in the consortium cannot pretend to represent the Northwest and Southwest. So, what I interpreted from the Secretary General's speech is that an inclusive dialogue means it must include those people that Mr. Abia calls secessionists. If he's not willing to meet with secessionists, then there will be no dialogue, because if you meet with some people in Cameroon here, some are saying this, some are saying that, you meet with them and you decide with them like you always do, nothing will change. Nothing will change.
Now, what do you think about effective decentralization? President Paul,
come on, man. I've read
improvement in the implementation.
Let me tell you what it means. I have read the Cameroon Constitution of 1996, what you call constitution, but I call it constitutional law. I read that along with the Constitution of 1972 that was fraudulently amended. And I want to tell you one thing. Effective decentralization means nothing. Because why? If you read a law that he passed through Parliament in 2014, it makes the governors, appointed governors and SDOs and DOs above the elected, what you call elected
leaders or officials,
commissioners of regions, which means he that's not decentralization, because he holds those people, the governors and so on, represent the central government, and it's window dressing. I am not expecting anything from effective decentralization. I am not.
But some
I don't know what this whole thing will end up, because I don't know which way we are going. This country is going. Nobody can predict. But talking about effective decentralization, which according to law does not vitiate the power of the central government on the local people, I don't think it's going to work.
No, but some experts have said effective decentralization is not far from federalism that is requested by the Social Democratic Front.
I don't know anything about federalism. I don't know anything that the Social Democratic Front is proposing federalism. I don't know what they are talking about. All I know is that I'm hearing about effective decentralization. Effective decentralization with appointed governors who will sit on top of those who have been elected. Doesn't cut it. I don't know. That will depend upon the results of the negotiations. If he goes ahead and puts what he calls effective decentralization without the dialogue, it's just not going to be effective. It will not change anything. The present situation is the dialogue that all the organizations, the United Nations, African Union, the Francophonie, the Commonwealth, and everybody is calling for. If that dialogue does not take place, inclusive dialogue without precondition, if it doesn't take place, this effective decentralization will mean nothing. That's my prediction as an observer, political observer.
Now, the current school year is unfolding practically on the same line like the last one in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, with school attendances very timid. Do you foresee another catastrophic academic year?
I'm very sorry for what is happening to our young people, especially the nation builders of tomorrow, that they cannot go to school. And it is no fault of theirs. It's a fault of people of the government that cannot solve, that refuse to solve a political problem when it started. I don't see anybody putting his child in the line of fire to go to school. Can you imagine with the war in Manu? Which child will go to school in Manu? And with the refugee problem, I was expecting him to even address the refugee problem in Nigeria. What is he talking about? Are those not Cameroonians who have been forced to be displaced by his SDO in Manthe, who are now languishing in the refugee camps in Nigeria? What did he say about it at the end, at the speech? Nothing.
The SDO, however, came out.
Well, he came out when? He came out when
to declare that he.
That was after.
And even the governor of the Southwest.
The effect of that had taken place. Because if you tell me now to run, while I'm running, you come back and say, no, come back. When I'm already running, I don't know what you were talking about. I don't trust you anymore. That communique had an immediate effect. The proof is that most of the villages are now empty in Manu division. Most of the villages are empty. And I don't know what image we're giving to the world when a whole army, like the Cameroon army, goes to an empty village, hoists a flag, put sandbags, put guns, and the minister comes and stands and says, votre village est sécurisé, il faut rentrer de Nigeria. What's the meaning of that message? After having driven people from their villages, they are now afraid of you, and you are calling them to come back. What has changed that they should come back? If Mr. Biya at the end of the year would have said, okay, let's have a ceasefire and organize elections. Ceasefire with whom? The enemy is fighting, he does not know. I don't even know whom they are fighting. They say they are fighting secessionists. Who is a secessionist? Can you determine who a secessionist is?
They are even described as terrorists.
They are even described as terrorists. Have you seen them? Do you know who they are?
But the acts committed are equal.
Let me tell you,
the acts
Americans fought Vietnam for several years and got defeated because what they call Viet Congs, they could not put their hand on it. Guerrilla warfare, from my study of political science in the US, guerrilla warfare is one of the most difficult wars to execute. because you cannot win, no side can win guerrilla warfare. So when he's calling secessionists, terrorists and so on, can he identify them? Impossible. Right now, young people are dying from both sides. And when I say both sides, I mean the population whom they are killing, and some soldiers who have been killed. So where are we going? Should this country, should this Anglophone problem be solved by killing our young people? No. I say no. Let him call for ceasefire and organize this inclusive dialogue without precondition.
All right, Barrister, we'll take a short break, and it's just time for us to bring to you interviews of the week. We'll be right back.
This particular message of this end of year was just an empty pregnancy that ended up bearing no baby. It still came out with his normal posture to give us once more a decorative speech full with nouns, adjectives and pronouns to tell us that he has nothing to offer.
I'm more confused after this speech than I was before the speech. Everybody wants an end to be brought to the crisis, but I think that bringing an end to the crisis does not mean that he arms his troops to come and start shooting innocent people. I said he waged war against the Anglophones. And when the soldiers come massed all in what do you call it again, ninja, were shooting at people, the people will have to defend themselves. If there's anything in the northwest, southwest, the people are merely defending themselves. Now, Mr. B has never asked how many civilians have been killed just on demonstrations in town here. He said they should kill them because they are not supposed to demonstrate.
I was very disappointed by the speech of the President of the Republic, because when he talked about the Anglophone crisis, he don't expel exactly these terms, Anglophone crisis.
We were waiting that today, as the end of year message to Cameroonians and as a right to resolve Anglophone problems, the head of state was going to tell Cameroonians that these are the members of the new commission to spur up the dialogue, to appease or to settle issues affecting Cameroonians.
Dialogue will certainly continue, but provided it is done in keeping with the laws and regulation and the Constitution of Cameroon.
It still goes back to talk about the Commission on Bilingualism, which is formed. How long ago was this commission formed? Have they come up with any filaments to say that we've done this, we've interviewed people, and this is what the people want, and this is what we're trying to do? No. So, government intends to address the issues of schools, etc. He sent out commissions and sent out his Prime Minister, head of government, who came out here, and the teachers and the lawyers took time to explain to them what they were going through. And they sat down and agreed on points on what to do. It was just for Mr. Villa to sign this and put into a text for schools to reopen and for the lawyers to go to court.
But this time he spoke with some calmness, not as wide as he always speaks.
It still goes back to talk about the Commission on Bilingualism, which is formed. How long ago was this commission formed? Have they come up with any filaments to say that we've done this, we've interviewed people, and this is what the people want, and this is what we're trying to do? No.
Here, we have been intimidated for a very long time, for no crime. We don't know our crime. So everybody is just having the panic of even enjoying himself. Because when you even come out from the house without any problem, you are being embarrassed by uniformed men. So we don't know if we are even secure right now. We don't know, we are confused.
Army and Gendarmerie are here not to disturb them, not to do bad, only to protect them and protect their property. So
we are here to protect them, not to frighten them. We are not here to harm them. The army is for the country and it is to defend the population, their properties, and the whole nation.
The nation has been able to sustain all those events successfully, demonstrating to the whole world that our institutions are up to the expectation of the Cameroon people. I would like to seize the opportunity that is given to me to congratulate the Northwest population that has shown also their courage in facing the many challenges of the year 2017.
It's a very good speech. The President of the Republic told to our people, to us, that we can live in peace. We can build together our country. We just have to respect institutions.
The principal problem, the main problem in this issue is the question of federalism. It's not the question of secessionists or extremists and so that. You have to focus on the federalism in this country because the decentralization has failed.
I think that the President of the Republic gave a very clever human response: decentralization. For me, it's the best way to go out this problem.
We acknowledge that decentralization process will be accelerated, and I think we all welcome the idea. I assure you with all confidence that if 10% of that budget is allocated to the local collectivity, Muyuka will become an El Dorado.
I have always made it known to the world that the problem of Cameroon is that of governance. If this country is decentralized as described in our constitution of 1996, I think what we call today Anglophone problem shouldn't have even come up. Yes, it's just the delayance of the government machinery. So as a traditional ruler, I think I was satisfied with the head of state, but I want to pray that they should not just be words that will remain in the drawer. I think they should really accelerate, as he said, this decentralization process. That is the solution of Cameroon.
The instruction needs to come again from above, that before March, we want those competencies to be transferred, because you have been preparing for this for 21 years. So they cannot tell, nobody can tell the head of state now to give them time. No, they have been working on this.
With all these things encircling us, are we ready for elections? These are the people who tell him that you've never organized any free, fair, transparent elections. You've never come up with any laws that will govern elections. It's the SDF that fought in Cameroon, marched on the streets before they came up with transparent ballot boxes, before we came up with computerization, we had to march, carry the computers on the roads and all the like.
Also expecting that 2018, which will also be a political year, an electoral year, that all the political leaders will put hands together so that the electoral process, as far as the municipal, the legislative, senatorial and presidential election, are organized peacefully in the Northwest region.
After the visit of Yaoundé 2, Yaoundé 6 and Yaoundé 3 council branches, we have noticed that there are many citizens who didn't register in 2017 who are ready. We noticed that the number of youth or young Cameroonians is higher in 2018 than in 2017. What we have noticed also is that the gender responded positively. We met them. There were more than men in our different council branches which we visited. We hope that in 2018 we are going to register more and more young citizens, more and more women. We may stop registering Cameroonians when the head of state will call upon the voters to go and vote. So it depends on the date of the decision taken by the head of state.
The SDF contributed financially and materially to the soldiers in the hospital in Yaoundé and those on the field. But till today, all of us Cameroonians who contributed, nobody has an account, an idea of how much was contributed, how much was sent to the field, how the food was spent, where the food was sent. There's no accountability in Cameroon. If they are still taking hostages in the eastern borders, I do not know what is still happening there. And you see, Cameroon has problems in the eastern borders, has problems in the north, has problems in the north-southwest, and all these problems put together.
We are still talking of social security and that he has listened to Cameroonians. If the head of state might have listened to Cameroonians for the past 1 year, over 3 months, then we needed him today to come out as the head of state to tell Cameroonians concretely, these are the solutions I'm proposing, these are the solutions I'm going to put in place. But what do we see? We still realize the head of state still giving us aspiration of things we are going to put in place which Cameroonians have never seen.
When you listen to the head of state, he's talking about the International Monetary Fund. International Monetary Fund is a bank. We have to borrow you the money, so you will spend your life and your time to give them back your money. You need, when you are head of state, to give a dynamism to the local producer. You need to give, the opportunities of the to the youth, of the younger entrepreneurs, to go and to build the companies on the field. And when you listen to this speech of the President of the Republic, you cannot be satisfied.
He's talking about the hosting of the football match. We'll be ready to host the sports. We look back into all the participation of Cameroon and in the international matches. That so much money came in. The other countries had their monies and they built stadiums in their country. Cameroon chopped their monies. Today is the government trying to say we're building this, we've ordered the equipment, they are coming. And when you see how much Cameroon would build one stadium, in the other countries, the stadiums that were built, they spent far less money and they did a good job.
You're welcome back. Barrister, the Social Democratic Front National Chairman, John Fundi, condemned the announcement by the head of state to continue the implementation of military solution in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. And to him, it was like separating the country indirectly, or referring to the people that you call yours as, terrorists, secessionists and so on, is not the right way out of the crisis, like you indicated earlier.
I agree with Mr. Frundi. First of all, he's the first political leader in this country. His analysis is exactly correct. You cannot on the 31st of December, which everybody's listening to, waiting for your speech, you come and say the war will continue. Against whom? You call Anglophones terrorists, secessionists and terrorists. I say Anglophones because there's no identifiable secessionists, or terrorists. Anybody who disagrees with this government is a terrorist. That is what I have come to understand.
All right, now let's talk about some major happenings in 2017 in the Republic of Cameroon. At the National Assembly, the Social Democratic Front, both those at the MPs at the lower house of parliament and the senators at the upper house of parliament, struggled to no avail to get the Anglophone crisis debated in parliament during the last plenary session, the November session of parliament. What do you think about the rejection of the Anglophone crisis in parliament?
I don't think you can say that they struggled in vain. I think the international community, everybody in the world saw the face of this government, of what they call the legislative branch of this government. There is a serious problem in one part of the country. A political party, the opposition party, wants that issue to be debated in parliament. What are they afraid of? What is the CPDM control house of assembly afraid of? What is the CPDM control senate afraid of? Debating that issue. They have the majority in parliament. They have everything. They could have debated and still voted against it. But they should put it on the national agenda in the legislative branch of government. Because they have received instructions from their almighty, who is the head of state. They refuse even to talk about it in parliament. So, I don't know where we are going. I don't know where this country is going. I don't know what direction this country is taking. Because the whole world saw how the Social Democratic Front, in their normal discharge of duty, disrupted parliament. Disruption of parliament is a democratic move. All over the world. And you'll see the Israeli parliament, you'll see the Ugandan parliament, you'll see other parliaments how people wear short clip shirts and settled
exchange blows.
Yes, a certain matter. They did what they had to do, but still they were so stubborn. The Senate lied that they were going to put it on, that never did. And of course the parliament, Mr. Kabai Jibril, thinks that the Anglophone problem is sans objet.
And we saw during one of the
world is watching it
during the plenary sittings, while the members of parliament of the Social Democratic Front were singing, chanting songs,
yes,
making noise, the House Speaker went ahead to
adopt a budget without a vote. The world was watching. That the present budget of 2018 has been adopted without a single vote. Without a single vote. And this is the first time it's happening in Cameroon Parliament. And just because they don't want to listen to the Anglophone problem. I would say the Social Democratic Front put up a show that was magnificent. And the whole world watched. Let them not be carried away. All what happens on CRTV is on YouTube, and everybody in the world sees. CRTV is online. Everybody watched what happened. How does that honor our country? There is a serious problem in a part of the country, and you would not even allow that to be debated by the elected officials of this country. I mean, I don't understand it. What kind of dictatorship is this?
And even in the upper house of parliament, even during the presentation of the social economy and political program of the country for 2018 by the
they disrupted the prime minister.
But the prime minister, who
went ahead and was reading to himself,
one of the people
the social and economic
sent to solve this problem on several occasions.
Yes,
he continued.
Yeah, he's following instructions. He continued reading. I don't know to whom he was reading, but he read while the noise was going on. Just to show you that the Anglophone problem in this country has become a canker worm, and nobody in the governance of this country can do anything. The only solution would be we'll sit down on a round table with a neutral party out of this country, and if we have to do it here, there must be amnesty to protect those who will be coming, the delegation that will be coming to negotiate. This is a problem that can be solved. What is all this Rick Maro? I'm not going to meet this guy, I'm not going to meet this guy, they are secessionists, they are terrorists, they are this and that. What are they not Cameroonians? No, it's the same thing. If Cameroonians who are fighting, if there are any Cameroonians in the Boko Haram, if they wanted to negotiate the matter of Boko Haram, they will say that, oh, they are terrorists, will not negotiate. They had negotiated with Boko Haram. When Boko Haram started here, I can quote you. This government negotiated at least 3 times, paid ransom to them. What is wrong in negotiating with Anglophones?
Now, what could probably explain what is today known as rejection of the Anglophone crisis in Parliament? Is it as a result of instructions from hierarchy or the MPs themselves?
No, it's instructions from the hierarchy. I suspect that the instructions from the Almighty, that's the President of the Republic, who does everything, whom everybody listens to. I suspect that those instructions have come from there, but I don't have any proof. But I suspect that. Can you imagine an Anglophone problem? And they are talking about elections this year. I keep asking myself a question. These elections are going to take place in the whole country. Does that include the Northwest and Southwest? If it does, how are they going to do it if this problem is not solved?
And according to the President of the Republic, during his end-of-year address, the elections will take place. Even
whether the Anglophone issue is resolved or not, if I understand, how can they think that they can organize election properly in the Northwest and Southwest without solving this problem? I don't know. I'm not a magician to know what is going to happen, but I think that it will be one of the most difficult political maneuvers in the world. You are fighting a people and you want them to go to vote. Take Manu. All the villages are empty. There are people living in the bushes. There are people living they have all escaped, and because of a single communique from one man, the whole of Manu has been dispersed. And we are going to send children to school in Manu, where the children are now in refugee camps. You are going to send organize elections in Manu, or other hotspots in the Northwest and Southwest. How is that going to happen? We are in a state of war here. So,
now, in the course of this year, some of the detainees of the Anglophone crisis, including the president of the former or the dissolved Anglophone Civil Society Consortium, Barrister Agbo Bala, Dr. Fontaine Neba, and even Justice Ayapo Labini, and many others were set free. But there are others, Mancho BBC, who are still in jail. And the fact that the President of the Republic decided to liberate some of them has practically changed nothing.
It changed nothing because those people who were liberated were those who negotiated their way out. Because I don't understand why everybody followed the leaders and went to jail, and they released the leaders and allowed more than 80% of those who followed the leaders to jail and leave them in jail. Some of them, I hear Ita Churuma will tell you that they have blood in their hands. Did those people ever kill anybody? The facts are there. Did any of those Anglophones in jail ever murder anybody? On the contrary, on that day, on the 8th of, was it 8th of September, 8th of November, where this whole crisis started, 6 boys were gunned down in Bamenda, and some boys were gunned down in Kumba. The question that I keep asking is, why did you release the leaders and allow the common people who follow their leaders to jail, whom you arrested and took them to jail? And so, Ita Chuma will tell you that they have blood in their hands. I'm not seeing the blood, because that when they were arrested, there was no bloodshed anywhere. by them. The bloodshed was instead on the part of government.
And Mancho, BBC and the others.
Mancho BBC is an activist who has never touched, he has never even slapped anybody.
Who was still held at the Kondini maximum security prison, have been to court
several times. They keep adjourning
the case.
Adjourning. Why not just finish with the case? If you want to send him to jail, you want to kill him so that we know that you have done what you intended to do. Justice delayed is justice denied. So we have more than 1,000 of our people in the prisons all around this country. And I don't know what Mr. Biya intends to do with them. This is the end of the year where most heads of states are giving, clemencies and so on and so on. Well, you can say, we are still in January. Let's wait and see what happens. But he said the war continues. It's not I who said it. It's not other Anglophones who said it. He's the one who said it. While Anglophones were glued to their radio and television listening to what he was going to say, he said the war continues. So everybody now has gone back to war. What war? Against who? People, the population is defending themselves. That's why you see all the villages are empty in Manu.
Yes, the migration continues.
The migration continues.
Keep on seeking
the refugees keep filling up Nigeria. Has he ever thought that he could make a statement about the refugees in Nigeria? Those are Cameroonians, children, women, and old people. Of course, the young people are in the bushes fighting to defend themselves.
So to you, the President of the Republic did not adequately address this.
He has addressed nothing. That speech is not different.
Handling of the matter.
No. It's not different from the speech of 2016. It's a continuation. Now he says, except that he added without excesses. He himself now recognizes that a lot of human rights were violated. And I'm talking like a lawyer now. You don't violate human rights and get away with it. You answer for it with all the courts.
All right. Barrister, the last word before we go concerning the Anglophone crisis.
Well, my only hope is that this dialogue takes place, this inclusive, without preconditions, dialogue takes place, and this issue is solved so that the young people can continue with their lives. There are children who are not going to school. The parents are afraid to send their children to school because of a child can be caught by a stray bullet or whatever. So the whole environment is unsafe for children to go to school. I take for example Manu. Which child can go to school in Manu? So my hope is that he will reflect and very quickly. When I say very quickly, I mean from now, put plans together and announce to the nation this inclusive dialogue, the modalities of how it's going to take place, because he is the only one who holds the trump cards. He's the head of state of this country. How it's going to take place, and before he does that, I am expecting him, if he has anything left, he should send a project of the law to the National Assembly granting amnesty so that all Cameroonians who ran away because of this persecution will come back and sit on the table and talk so that this country can be organized for the good of everybody.
Barrister FRU, legal mind and political observer, thanks for accepting to be a guest in this session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having the honor to invite me to be the first guest of Insight for 2018. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Barrister. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us in this edition of the program, The Insight on Equinox Television. Take the appointment for next Sunday for another edition of the program. Thanks for staying with us.